again. It's a redskin.
For years, we only garden in the warmer months of spring and summer, letting all of the crops in the garden keep growing until the end of their life cycles towards late summer. The only crop that we consistently plant in the fall is garlic, which is only harvested in the following year. Now, we have come to a point in time where we believe that it is more urgent to know how to grow food all year round rather than just during one season. So, we have taken time to prepare our fall garden right here in Tennessee Zone 7B. We have full faith that gardening in the fall or cooler months is a smart choice for self sufficiency because cooler temperatures often mean fewer pests, less plant stress, and more consistent moisture, leading to healthier crops. Also, from the opinions of many fall growers, cool season vegetables like kale, carrots, and broccoli, just to name a few, actually develop better flavor, having a sweeter taste after a light frost. Now, considering the current state of the world, we want to increase our confidence in becoming more self sustainable, at least in regards to food access. So, by extending our growing season into fall, we can anticipate producing some fresh food when grocery prices inflate, which will help us reduce reliance on some outside sources to feed our family.
Your garden doesn't have to slow down just because summer ends. With a little planning and a technique called succession planting, you can have fresh food coming in well into the cooler months. See, succession planting is all about planting in stages rather than sowing everything all at once. And by doing so, you avoid being overwhelmed by huge harvests followed by weeks of nothing. Instead, you get a continuous supply of fresh food.
To quickly define what succession sowing is, it's the practice of planting crops in intervals throughout the growing season to ensure a continuous harvest. This can mean staggering plantings of the same crop every few weeks or planting different crops in sequence as the seasons and growing conditions change. The ultimate goals are to maximize yield, extend harvest periods, and make the most efficient use of garden space.
But if you've already been doing that, planting in waves or replacing crops as they finish, here's how you can take it even further. Start thinking about root depth and crop families. Shallow rooted crops like lettuce and radishes mostly feed from the top few inches of soil. Once they're done, follow with a deeper rooted crop like carrots, beets, or turnips, plants that reach deeper into the soil to gather the nutrients they need. By rotating this way, you're letting each plant draw nutrients from a different level, kind of like sharing instead of competing. It reduces stress on your plants and promotes more even nutrient cycling across your garden beds. Another thing you can do is count backward from your first frost date. If yours is in late October, like ours is in Zone 7B, you still have time to plant crops that mature in 45 to 60 days. That means if you plant by late August to early September, you can still enjoy a full round of leafy greens, baby beets, or even a final flush of bush beans. And if you like to push boundaries a little bit, try sowing cold-hardy crops like collards, tatsoi, or kale. With a bit of protection like row covers or plastic domes, these crops can handle light frosts and even overwinter in some zones. Whether you're growing in raised beds, containers, or in ground, succession planting can be one of the most rewarding ways to garden intentionally. Because even in the fall, maybe especially in the fall gardening can be one of the most productive and ideal times to grow.
When it comes to planning the layout of our garden, we like to use a whiteboard. I draw out the garden beds, containers, trellises, and in-ground spaces that we have, and then fill in the beds based on what crops we want to grow and what crops may grow well near each other. Since the growing season for summer crops is not yet finished for us, there are some spaces in the garden that are still occupied, so those areas are marked off for convenience. Another way to conveniently and aesthetically map out your garden is by using Canva. It's a free online platform for graphic design, and there are lots of free elements, shapes, and tools that may be useful for those who seek to map their garden with proportional measurements in mind. Let us know if you would like to see a brief tutorial on how to map out your garden using Canva in the comments below. An important factor to consider in your planning is what areas in your garden get more or less sun exposure during the day. As the sun drops lower in the sky during fall, shadows get longer from fences, trees, and even tall summer crops. Less light means slower growth and smaller harvests before the first frost. Now, cool season plants can handle a little less light, but they're not true shade plants. Sun lovers like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, carrots, and beets still need your brightest spots so that they have time to size up before cold weather sets in. Save your shadier spaces for lettuce, spinach, arugula, cilantro, and herbs that actually appreciate a little afternoon shade. More sun also means warmer soil and faster maturity, which is crucial when days are getting shorter. In fact, a bed with just 1 or 2 extra days of sunlight can be the difference between ready to harvest and almost there when frost hits. Morning sun is especially valuable because it dries dew quickly, helping to reduce mildew and rot on leafy greens. If you can, place those tender greens where they'll catch that early light. And don't forget about microclimates in your garden. In the fall, south-facing beds, heat-retaining borders like brick or stone, and spots sheltered from wind can give you just enough of an edge to stretch your growing season. Now, this isn't a requirement, but these are just some tips that can help elevate or improve the growth of your plants. In our garden, most of the yard is touched by the sun for at least 6 hours a day, but we do have a few shady areas that are a safe haven for crops that need less sun exposure. So we are keeping those areas in mind as we plan out what crops go where in our garden this season.
So, just to summarize our simple tips for effectively planting a fall garden. Know your first frost date and check the days to maturity of your crops. This will help you determine which crops you'll be able to grow and harvest before the temps drop too low. You'll also want to pick crops that love cooler temps and beware of varieties that are more cold tolerant than others. Be mindful to consider sun exposure when mapping out your garden to ensure that plants are getting the sunlight they need to grow best. Lastly, get started while you can. If you've never had a garden in the cooler months, like us, start now and maybe start small. Knowing how to grow in different seasons can only benefit you. With that, we've already sown our seeds for our fall growing season. Here's a sneak peek. Now, this is our first time doing a fall garden like this, so we are learning as we go.
But we're excited and we want to know what you're planting this fall.
Let us know your zone and your plans in the comments. And if you've ever had a fall garden before.
Plant to live, y'all.